For the record, Darren Elmore, Sportsman's representative on the Nevada OHV Commission. Thank you very much for moving this agenda item up. I've got a family function this afternoon back in Reno. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update. I think Commissioner McNinch at the last meeting in Reno asked for this item. This last legislative session, NRS 490, Chapter 490 was passed. It's basically the OHV bill requiring the registration of off-highway vehicles in the state of Nevada. The commission was established in March. The effective date to be implemented by DMV is July 1st. So we've got 8 days until that launches. DMV has been very busy on the administrative side setting this up. The commission at this point in the last 4 meetings has basically been focused on procedural and administrative facets of this bill. The bill, as passed, is incredibly explicit, specific, and a bit limiting. They got a lot of it, they didn't get all of it, and some of it needs to come out. So we've got a legislative fix coming for round 2 in the next legislative session. But the basic gist of it is, by July 1st of 2013, all existing OHVs in the state of Nevada that were purchased after 1976 will need to be registered with the state through DMV. Effective July 1st of this year, so here in a week, any OHVs that are purchased new from a dealer will be registered at the time of sale. Proof of sales tax will have to be shown after that for any new OHV that is purchased to be registered. But any existing OHVs won't need to be registered for a year from July 1st. So 2013 is really the hard, concrete date for all of this. Where does the money go? It's a $20 fee. The bill was specific in that we had to charge a minimum of $20 to, I think, 30 or 40 at the most. We chose the $20 fee. So in the first year, 85% of that goes to DMV to cover the administrative costs. After that, it swaps, and 85% will come back to the commission to be managed in a grant process. 60% of that money will then be spent on a myriad of things: trail acquisition, enhancement, habitat restoration, etc. 20% will be spent on enforcement, 15% on education, 5% on administrative facets. One thing you have to realize up until this point, until July 1st, is that this commission has no money. We are unfunded. We don't have a secretary. We don't have anybody from the AG's office. So our hands are a little bit limited as to what we can do up until this point. But really, I think at least not until January or February of next year will we have money to be able to distribute. And it's going to take us a few more months to get the grant process really solidified and up and going. But in the end, they are estimating that there's between 200,000, 300,000, maybe more OHVs in this state that will have to be registered. That's going to equate to $4, $5, $6 million annually. So there is going to be an opportunity for some money to be spent on worthwhile habitat projects, barring that endow or other worthwhile individuals can bring those grants requests to the commission. There's going to be a couple of good things. I see this from a sportsman's point of view. One, for the first time, there's a very good percentage of these recreational racers who have not had to pay to play in this state. And we suffer a bit because we're the last Western state, but for the first time, these individuals now have 20 bucks in the game in order to recreate in the state. Also, I think it's going to afford some opportunity for the recreational racing community, sportsmen, conservationists, to all find some common ground in the ground that we use to recreate, the public land in the state of Nevada. So once again, we suffer a bit because we're the last Western state to do this, but the process is chugging along the best that an unfunded commission and a very specific bill can allow. Outside of that, I'll take any questions. I've already met once with Director Mayer and Chief Game Warden Buonamici, speak about a myriad of things. Enforcement is the big unknown at this point, and until the dollars really come and get dispersed to whichever agency wants it, it's kind of a hands-off approach at this point from the enforcement side, but that will come. So,
Darren, would you explain what an OHV is by definition?
sure. Basically, an OHV, under the definition of the statute, is any vehicle to be used recreationally off-road. So this will include anything from dune buggies, jeeps, quads, dirt bikes. If it's got wheels or tracks and is designed to be used off the highway, it's going to have to be registered. There is a short listing of exemptions. The true intent of this bill was clearly to have literally every single OHV registered in the state. There are some exemptions for state, county, local, federal agencies. You know, obviously use on private land will not require registration. But for the most part, if it's got wheels or tracks to be used recreationally or commercially on public lands, it's going to require it to be registered.
Motorized only?
Motorized, correct.
So would that include my four-wheel drive pickup?
It will.
It will. So we got to have on our radar screen that if that we have to have this additional sticker. So is it something that can be done through DMV when you're ready?
So the process is a bit cumbersome. I'm not going to tell you otherwise. And I think the unfortunate thing here is that DMV has been required to basically duplicate NDOW's voting registration program. The same process. Titling will be optional, not required. But basically the way that this goes, if I own an ATV, I have to take it down to a dealer. We'll have to require a VIN inspection. So I have to take it to a dealer or have law enforcement do that. You cannot take it to the Department of Motor Vehicles for a VIN inspection. They have waived their ability to do that due to costs. So you will have to get a VIN inspection. You will then also have to go to a notary, get the affidavit notarized saying that you purchased the vehicle prior to the implementation date, and then you mail it in with your money to DMV, and then your decal will show up in the mail, hopefully sometime shortly after. So it's not quite as clean and as easy as I think it should be, but it's the way that it is, and that we're going to have to deal with it moving forward.
So I have to take my truck
Correct.
to a dealer.
Correct. What are the dealers think about OHV dealers? Well, it's a mix. You have to understand that the root of this bill really was derived from predominantly a number of Southern Nevada OHV dealers who felt that they were losing sales of new OHVs to people who were going out of state to avoid having to pay sales tax. So thus the requirement of the registration, proof of sales tax paid. So it's a mix within the dealer base. And there are some cumbersome facets of this bill financially for these OHV dealers that come with this bill, and I think those will be fixed legislatively. But it's a mix. It's you know, mandated responsibility at this point, with really limited opportunity for the dealer to recoup the financial costs of having to provide staff with the basis and the wherewithal and the time to do VIN inspections. But it's going to be a busy year for these OHV dealers that are doing these registrations, and I would only encourage anybody with an existing OHV, start early.
Is one of the fixes to maybe do away with VIN inspections for vehicles that are already VIN inspected?
It's been discussed. DMV certainly has some objection to it, and actually the enforcement side has also proposed. It's kind of, if you're going to do it for one, you need to do it for all. So, and also the VIN is also the root basis for the registration. We had an individual at the last commission meeting who told us that he owns 250 dirt bikes sitting in a warehouse in Southern Nevada. So one guy with 250 dirt bikes, the VIN is really the root of the registration, the basis. So it's evolving. I would tell you that it's evolving, and it's going to evolve at a much faster and accelerated rate here in 8 days. But the basis of it is that it's just another recreational fee, and sportsmen, we're accustomed to paying it. The recreational racing community, outside of paying to to do this in a park, et cetera, really haven't had to pony up. Now they've got some skin in the fight.
Okay, and if I drive my four-wheel drive pickup on a county-maintained road, that is not an off-highway, is that,
Correct.
that's not the kind of roads we're talking
I
about?
don't believe so, correct.
Okay. And, okay.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Wallace?
This kind of goes along the same lines there. So the license that's on my truck, I have to get a sticker on my truck if I go
I believe, and
road?
we get down to the semantics of the bill. I believe that if it's already registered with DMV, it does not require a additional OHV sticker. Just like your street vehicle on a dirt road does not need it.
Okay, so,
So if your Jeep is already registered with the state, then you do not need the OHV sticker.
oh, okay, so,
But yeah, if it's like a rock crawler, it's not designed. That would be my understanding of.
okay, but my four-wheel drive pickup, which is already registered with DMV.
Correct. Does not require an additional OHV registration.
Okay,
If it's got a license plate and a tag,
yeah,
you're good to go.
okay. Commissioner Rowe?
If you purchased an OHV in the past year, they put a sticker on it.
It's not what you need. Yeah, it's not what you need. What you need will come with July 1st. I don't know whether that's the certificate of ownership. I'm not familiar with the sticker that the dealers have been placing on there.
Okay, because it does say state of Nevada on it. It had something to do with the state, and it should have had I mean, to get that sticker.
Yeah, it's not. I guarantee you, it's not the sticker that you got to have.
I'm glad it was put on there then.
Get your checkbook out.
Made somebody feel better to put it on there for me.
Commissioner Strom?
I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
I remember when this first came out, and this was a couple years ago, and it was a real small item in the Las Vegas papers, but the people down there were blaming it on the dealers in Tahoe, saying that the Northern Nevada dealers were complaining about the people were going out of state, and then so they went to and complained that, well, they were going out of state and beating the state out of tax dollars. They should be. What they could have done was just went ahead and lowered their prices some, and the people would have went ahead and bought things here, and we wouldn't be facing this problem now. So I see some of the things we're going to be doing with this is we're going to get into habitat restoration and off-road trails. My way of thinking, the way the government works, is we're going to start small like this, and then we're looking down the road before long that all of us that use ATVs or things like that will be restricted to going on a lot of trails. Because I know throughout the state there's trails anywhere from 100 to 500 miles. Utah is doing some of those states. It seems like we're looking down the road at more restrictions instead of less restrictions, because it's this same problem. Start small, and instead of walking in and saying, well, this is what we're going to do to you folks, and having a huge outcry, we're going to do it a small bit at a time. And that's my fear, that we're looking down the road. I know you can pacify me and say it's not going to happen, but we see it happening all the time.
I think you're absolutely correct. I think regardless of OHV registration or not, I think restrictions on the use of public land was coming regardless. And I think at least now you have many different groups, sportsmen, racers, backcountry hunters and anglers, whoever. We now at least have a common goal in that we all want to continue to use the land. So let's get together and figure out how we can protect our right to continue to access and use the public lands of Nevada, which we're in a unique position. We have more public land than any other western state, and we're the last state to do this. So, like I said, we suffer because of it. But I think regardless of these types of bills or not, I think that those things are already happening, have happened, and are really going to continue to happen. So we can work with them, or we can just watch our opportunity go by the wayside.
The ones that violate the law and are out there tearing up the countryside will
Sure.
continue to do so, And so the solution is to punish all of us for the few that go out and just like the few that have the big trucks and then.
Not every hunter in Nevada is a poacher either. I mean, that's the.
It just seems like there's a rush on to do this thing, and I just, I think the restrictions are all the way back to 1976 on the ATVs.
Correct. Anything purchased, anything that was built after 1976 will need to be registered in the next year.
That pretty well covers all of us, huh?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's going to be busy in the dealers that are doing this. So I only recommend if you own OHVs, you're not required until July of next year, but I would strongly suggest that you get them registered as soon as possible. We could use the money too.
Okay, any
Mr.
additional, one more, okay.
Just real quick, if I have a VIN inspection on my OHV, I take that to my local DMV office and they can do the rest at that point? Or
No,
do
you can't go to the DMV.
Not to license it?
You can't go to the DMV at all. It has to be done, your registration will be done via the mail, but you have to take your, if you already have a VIN inspection for your OHV, I don't know if it's titled or was titled. For a while they were titling OHVs in the state, then they decided not to. Now they're making it optional. You would take that, you would still need a dealer to sign off on it or law enforcement. Then you still have to fill out the affidavit saying that you purchased it prior to the implementation date. You write your check for $20 plus some administrative fees and stick it in the mail to DMV. Your decal will come in the mail.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out because I don't have a local dealer
Sure.
in 4 hours. So if I can get the local sheriff to VIN inspect it and I
Right.
can mail it in with the money.
And I believe Sheriff Lee here in Elko County, he is also on the commission. He's working with the Sheriff's Association, law enforcement agencies within the state of Nevada at the county level. And they're working to come up with a plan to allow law enforcement, or to suggest that law enforcement, time willing, of course, provide the ability to do VIN inspections in these rural communities, which I think is necessary. It's like I said, it's evolving.
Be a one-time registration, or is this going to be a yearly?
Annual.
Annually. So in other words, what we're saying is that this is another way for the state to get more revenue. It's not necessarily keeping track of all of us. It's not necessarily finding out the culprits who are tearing up the countryside to hold them responsible. It's another form of taxation.
Recreational tax is really what I think it comes down to.
Okay.
But every other Western state does it. They just do it a little differently. California just wants your money.
Well, if somebody else jumps off a building doesn't mean you have.
I don't disagree with you, but I didn't write the bill and pass it either. So, okay. I also the commission, OHV commission, we were able to pull some emergency funds from another account in DMV. We've got an ad campaign launching because, quite honestly, particularly in the sportsman community, most people don't even know this is coming. So we're now have the ability, we'll have a website if it's not up this next week, certainly by July 1st with all of the information. You can actually find a separate page on the DMV website now if you do some digging. But there's going to be a high level of education that's going to need to take place here in the next couple of months to get this out and to make people aware.
Okay, just one additional question, and it's kind of follow-up to all of them, is only one VIN inspection, but annual fees?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, well, Darren, thank you very much for the information. And
thank you very much. I'm happy to come back at any point, maybe 6 months or a year, give you an update. And like I said, the onus at some point will be on NDOW and anybody else who thinks they've got a worthwhile habitat restoration project. I would, as a sportsman, urge them to come before us with a grant proposal, because I'd love to see some of that money spent on worthwhile wildlife stuff.
okay.
Okay? Thank you very much. Thanks again for moving this agenda item up.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and keep moving. We are now on agenda